The wonders of 3 in the morning streaming. I've tried to explain before that when you work a job where you get off late and you normally go in during the hours that are like in the late afternoon, right, early evening, it creates, I would say, kind of like a clock within you where you tend to be up during times where people probably would mostly be asleep, and you're not really like, there's a part of me that's tired, right? There's a part of me that I'm sure after I finish the stream in an hour or two, will just like go and lay down and close my eyes and be able to go to sleep. But as things currently are, I just don't feel like doing that. And it's not something I really, it's not a mission of mine to stay up until 4 or 5 in the morning every night. But again, when you work, uh, usually in the afternoon or evening, well, it is what it is. That's actually the most surreal thing to me about the job, just knowing that people go in sometimes as early as 6 in the morning. Um, and then I'm here like, sleeping. And then by the time that they're leaving at 2 in the afternoon or whatever, I'm just beginning the day basically. It's just interesting, how people have just different times. They might clock into like the same job, but just because of their times very rarely overlapping, they just don't interact. I had that problem with another coworker where he and I get along very well, but they schedule him in the morning parts of the day, like early, like late morning, kind of like 10, 11 a.m., and then he gets out early afternoon. So I usually started having this thing where I'd only catch him if I showed up early. Like, just, I'd mention my routine of having to leave 2 hours before the shift starts to make sure I'm there on time. And that became the extent of our dynamic, which was not something I was satisfied with. And I just couldn't understand why it had to be that way. Um, there was the possibility of us hanging out this past weekend, but it fell through. He had to go do something, one of his relatives. Like I never try to be pushy with this stuff. I had my own things that came up as well, so I was still trying to make it happen, right? Because I truly don't like to say I'm going to do something and then just not do it. That's why it's hard for me whenever I'm like doing, like, let's say, a edited video. I often say I think it'll come out this week, week after that, like give an estimate. Because if I were to give an exact date, there's so much stuff that just happens day after day that is unpredictable or eats up a lot of your time. Just like, I thought this was going to be my rest day, right? I'm going to do a stream in the morning, go to sleep, talk to somebody, then go see this relative. And then I was told as late as 11 p.m. yesterday, which is only like 4 hours ago. Oh yeah, by the way, these people are going to come over to see you at early afternoon. I was like, damn it, because that again like messes with other plans I had, because I also wanted to go and return this set of headphones that I wasn't using anymore and didn't really see a purpose in having. And I'm about to run out of like the return date for it. So it's just, if I don't do it today or tomorrow, then that's it. So I might end up cancel. I'll probably end up canceling the thing with the relative, which is frustrating because if I can't do it today, that means I'll only be able to like consider doing it because tomorrow there's somebody else coming over that in the early afternoon, like 12, 1, like again early afternoon. And even if their thing only lasts for an hour, which I think it'll be longer, that's just what I believe. that still means that by the time I go to see that person, it's probably going to be somewhere uh, within, I'd say, an hour. Basically, it's just a matter of having to like go to work tomorrow and then also having something in the earlier part of the afternoon to do. And then the same thing is like I don't have that same problem necessarily today, but it's also just, something early in the afternoon, and then you want to do something else in the afternoon. It's just, it all kind of conflicts. And when you make a promise of, oh, I'll come see you this day, and then you find out the night before, day before, oh yeah, actually, not really. Just it's frustrating. But no, my job's newest pattern, or I guess I could say trend, is that I looked on the schedule and I noticed that they had stopped keeping me overnight, after the place is closed. And I was like, okay, cool. That means I can just, kind of return back to the place early. But I had multiple instances, I believe it was last week, where they kept me longer than what the schedule originally said, which I have mixed feelings about, because on the one hand, I'm never going to turn down more money, but on the other, I mentioned that it's when you're working somewhere and you have an expectation it's going to be one way and it turns out to be something else. I think you have a right to feel like, what the hell, like, so to kind of be taken aback. Okay, I thought I was coming here for 4 hours. Now it's 7, 8. Just that's the kind of stuff that catches me off guard. Even more comedic is that originally for they scheduled me on Thursday for 5 hours. And then at 2 in the morning, I think it was on Sunday or Saturday. It was like within the last few days. They modified it to be 7 hours, which I thought was really funny, because it's another way of them acknowledging that they want more of my assistance, if you will. But I just the thing I thought was fascinating is how I go and I work these shifts. And the routine is that when it's about halfway through, when most of it is most likely done, you'll have a manager who will come up and go, "Hey, can you stay later?" And because you're the money desperate person that you are, you're like, "Yeah." Right? You may have a little bit of reluctance because kind of getting excited at the prospect of finally being able to go home, but you're like, "All right, whatever." And you go and you work there for another hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And I have seen two separate instances now where, again, you stayed longer than what you were told, which is something you're doing voluntarily. You didn't have to do this. And I have seen two different instances where managers will say something to the equivalent of "hurry up" or "we're only waiting for you." Something that's supposed to like rush you along. And I couldn't help but feel kind of disgusted by this, because it's like, guys, you asked me to stay longer. I could have left, and then presumably it would have taken even longer to finish this stuff. They drive me crazy. It's like, if I were to have left when I was supposed to and turned down your offer, you probably would have been irritated. You probably would have been annoyed. You probably would have been upset, right? Oh, how could he turn us down? This is more money. But then if you stay and take the extra hours to assist them, they complain that you're taking too long to finish whatever task that if you weren't there would probably take even longer. So either way, you just can't win. I mean, it's like you would be upset if I were to leave when I was supposed to, but then you're also upset by me supposedly not going as quickly as you would. It's just like, what do you want? Hey, maybe this person isn't going as quickly because they thought they were going to work 5 hours today. And now it's 7 or 8. There's a possibility. Just like I remember, I used to look in the comment section, and you have like so many comments about. I mean, and we're still getting them, but like, uh, get this type of lighting, get this type of camera, and I always say the same thing. This site, even when I was unemployed, has never been my job. Um, I have always set out to make the stuff on here I want to make. I'm working with whatever equipment I have. Uh, the expenses of real life, especially over the last 2 years, have been very draining in the sense that when you have no assistance from anyone, you're kind of like not exactly about to just go out and buy a whole new computer so that somebody who's not even watching your stuff anyway will go and supposedly be interested in it. But it's so crazy to me. It's like you guys really think that every person on this site, even the ones that don't make anything off of it, are just supposed to have this workman-like drive to, it's not enough to just make content, right? Not enough to what you're talking about. You have to have an HD camera and a script. And I'm like, Jesus, like who what kind of unrealistic expectation is that? But again, they say these things and they mean them. They actually want someone to have that stuff for them to watch them. And I find it comical because being on here for as long as I have been, I know that in all likelihood, the same people who are complaining about that stuff are not going to check you out suddenly because you have it. It's just more goalposts. It's like, oh yeah, the fantasy of you being this thing is going to appeal to me, even though we know that in most likely you're not going to actually, you know, be interested in it. And man, these lies, they just never let up. I mean, I went to there was this meeting I had on, I think it was on last Tuesday. I thought it went pretty well. But man, when I heard the stuff that I was alleged to have said, I guess what gets me is like, if people want to back out of something, okay, fine. But just like blatant lies, this person said this, even though they actually never said that. This person uh, communicated that they weren't going to. I mean, it's like none of this was stated at all. So it's not even like, oh, we could say you misheard something. No, like you genuinely want to pretend that someone said something they didn't. That's why I said they just lie so much. And what it gets them, I have no idea. Well, in that person's case, it was to, they don't want to take full responsibility for what they're doing. So they're like, oh, yeah, this person said something off putting when they actually did not. Uh, and then I thought like I was done with them after hearing about that. And I was like, good riddance. But it looks like they're still going to go through with it. So we'll see. People are just so crazy. Man. Also, I found out in my Well, it's one of those things where, like, you get excited about something, and you're like, "Oh, wait, never mind. The bubble has been burst. The, enthusiasm has subsided." I mean, we could go down the list. It's like people just in my interactions with them, I'm seeing more and more stuff that's just, I guess, confusing. Like, I talked about this woman I met on Discord. You have these hours long DM calls with, and she calls herself making some kind of confession. And you're like, look, lady, I don't want to do this with you for multiple reasons. You lay out those reasons, but you still want to talk, whatever. And then you got the bastard admitting that are stating rather that calls with you have reached a stale point of disinterest, and uh, readily admits that she will just sit there and not say anything as you're trying to like fish for a topic to discuss. And I guess I go back to the whole thing of like, what's the point? Like what exactly? So I'm gonna talk to this person for almost 2 weeks, speak to them for hours on end during those 2 weeks, just so after they turn down my romantic advances, I can tell them that they're so boring and, let's not even bother talking anymore. Let's go our separate ways. And it was funny because I actually saw her a few days ago in that same server, and she joined a call with about 4 or 5 other people in it. And I think maybe like 20, 30 minutes later, she was out of it. And then she joined some other call with some other like 2 or 3 people. And then after about another short amount of time, she was gone on that one too. And I was thinking to myself, like, that's like you decided to stop speaking to me so you could revert back to joining these pretty obviously crappy group calls that are so boring that you leave them after a few minutes. Like I always thought in that year plus of just like not even bothering with Discord anymore that maybe, the whole like lonely aspect would be mitigated if I went and, it was like part of some servers, joined some calls. But I maintain that some of these people are so boring that I would truly rather be alone. Like I've been sitting in this one server and I get notifications of someone that's on my friend list will join, and or someone that was on my friend list, right? Someone that like took me off, or I unfriended them in the rare cases that happens. But it's like I get these notifications and I have no desire to join calls with these people. Like I see them, I know who they are. Some of them I don't necessarily dislike, but I just think to myself, like, what is the point? Because I mentioned that I was part of this one call where I was telling these guys about how, or I just like brought up this woman that had made some server and then not a friend me, like kicked me out of the server as I was like agreeing to the rules, whatever. And I was like, that it's so weird to make a server right where you're, it's public, right? Anybody can join, but then like be selective on who can actually stay after joining. And this guy was in the call with me, and he's like, maybe she didn't blank with you, and I mean, why are you harping on it? And I'm like, it's almost like he doesn't understand that by trying to refute or express some dissenting opinion, he is like extending the discussion about it even further. Like if it was just a thing I mentioned, it's like, oh yeah, there's other weird thing with this one woman, and it didn't make any sense. Man, that would have all been over in like 2 minutes. But by trying to argue with me about it, he is therefore creating the circumstances of it being supposedly harped on. Self awareness has never been the strong suit of people online, I guess. But also, like, my thing is, you join these calls and it's dead zone. It looks like, a complete empty vessel of an area where you're talking to somebody, or rather, you join it, you hear dead silence. Or if you hear anything at all, it's like one person talking, everybody else is just sort of sitting in there, right, listening in, not really saying anything, playing some game, yelling at the game. And I'm like, this is really what people prefer. Like they want to join calls where they can't hear any, where like just no one is talking except one or two people, and they just sit there mind-numbingly with nothing to speak about. But then if someone, like, I guess, tries to start a conversation on something, they like attack them or go after them or argue with them about it. It's so weird. Doesn't make any sense. Hmm. Not one shred of sense. But no, I've been noticing more and more people just quitting at the job. There was actually this one girl I used to speak to who I had a joke that she was going to try to report me or get me in trouble because that's like the thing they like to do over there. But she had told me that she had actually been in trouble 3 times with HR or whatever, and it was always over like profanity and just things like that. But she was the one that told me about the coworker, getting arrested, and it's so surreal to think that that happened, like in the period where I was just starting the stuff over here, and which hasn't been that long, like a month now, and she's gone. She's not on the list anymore. Don't see her anymore. Just vanished. They are rapidly running out of people. And yet somehow I just keep sticking around. As I remember back in February getting that nail biter call, being all afraid of what's going to happen to me. And let's see, March, April, May, June, July, August. Here we are 6 months later, and I'm still standing. Like I said, every job I've worked, I have always followed the same principle, which is to do my work. If there's something I really don't understand, I'll ask manager or higher up, whatever, about it. Um, so for that reason, I'm not entirely surprised they've been able to like get me on. Oh, you didn't do this as quickly or whatever. Right? In most cases, they only say something like that. They're just trying to rush out of there that night. But I mentioned before, my biggest concern was always just having one of these nutty, coworkers try to do something because I'd never felt the antagonism of coworkers as much as I like at any other place as I have over here. Yeah, still surviving somehow. It's funny to see relatives to talk about their relationship with someone and how much they love them. And then I mentioned the whole like this person hasn't spoken to me in a year, this one hasn't spoken to me in a month, this one hasn't spoken to me in 2 years. And I said, the crazy part is that because like I've only ever blocked one relative from being able to call me because I just got so disgusted with them. They weren't really that big of a deal anyway, which is why it took them years to even realize they were blocked because they just never reached out to me. Um, but I said it's sad that like all of these people have my number. they can probably figure out very easily where I am, if not already know where I am, and they just you might as well not even be alive. And that's the part I just find so insane. Like, people get mad at me for saying this, but words like love and phrases like I care about you and the rest of it, it doesn't mean anything. Like when most of the time when I've heard someone say they love me or say that we're friends, I just cringe. I just sit there and go, oh man. There was this guy at my job who he's the big woman defender, right? And he mentioned like, "Oh yeah, we hung out before." And I was like, I mean, I hung out with other guys here too. "Oh, but you didn't have as much fun with them as you did with me." And I was just thinking to myself, are you really egotistical enough to believe that sitting outside while you smoke and drank was like peak entertainment and fun for me? With one guy we went to go see a movie, right? With the other one we went to the mall. Um, those were much more fun activities than my experience with that one. And even there, it's like I still, out of all the months, would only consider one person from there probably a friend, in the sense of like we're both friendly towards each other. I've tried to hang out and do things together, tried to keep in contact in spite of the schedule making it difficult for us to actually see each other when we're there. But as far as like all those different girls that are there and a lot of these guys, just the hell with them. I don't need it. Anyone that I only talk to when I'm clocked in, we're not friends. That's actually one of the reasons why I was so disgusted with the. I mean, we always talk about that thing with her, but I really did reach out in a way I normally don't, and I didn't like my reward that much. It was not pleasant. Stuff with these Raldos is always so interesting because I always think about like, you have these people who will complain about like clothes and you don't speak to this person or that person and whatever, and it's like, so what? I guess what I always thought about is how when you have someone who takes something and pretends like it is this crippling, life-ending thing that they're doing, right? Um, that's obnoxious. In a lot of cases, it's stupid, but it's just, at least it's like just one thing, right? But when you have someone who complains about what you wear, the way your hair looks, just whether you have a job or don't have a job, which of course they won't help you with finding one, right? That's the other aspect of this we always have to put in there. But it's just when you have a person who just goes through just with a series of problems, right? You really do get desensitized to even caring about what their opinion, because you know that their opinion of you is always going to be negative. If you bent the knee on this one thing, they would jump to something else. And you know they would, because they're complaining about four, five, six different things about you. That's one of the reasons why I said, like, I get the weird comments about attire and stuff, but it's just like, man, after receiving the same comment written over and over again about you're so ugly and hideous and I don't like what you're wearing, all that weird stuff. At a certain point, you just get so numb to it. You know, you're just like, okay, yeah, next, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I still have every intention to do the weird men in their Discord leader video, and I was even though it's been a month, I still thought it'd be fun to talk about those guys and all the crazy stuff they were writing. She's actually online right now, sitting right up in that VC. You know, I think it's so interesting is like a lot of times when people are trying to insult somebody, they'll like say the person has no life, right, etc. I know there was a guy that came on my MTG video and was like, "Go get a job," which I was laughing about because if I didn't have one, I probably would have made like 8 of those in 2 days, just from like sitting here, record something, put in the editor, upload it. But what's interesting is like people say that, and then you look at some of the stuff other people are doing online. Like with this woman, I'm talking to someone yesterday, day before yesterday rather. So that's Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. And she joins the VC in this server around, I'd say 1 in the afternoon, either 12 or 1 in the afternoon, some point in like the early afternoon. Me and this guy finished speaking to each other around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. He had some stuff to go do, whatever. And it's kind of, prematurely, but whatever, whatever. And I go to sleep and wake up around 9 p.m. And before I go to sleep, it's like 7. This rest is probably like an hour and a half. Before I went to sleep, I looked in that VC and I saw that same goofy, weird, crazy woman sitting in there for what must have been 6 or 7 hours straight. And I'm not the VC police. People want to sit in calls all day long, be my guest. But I just think it's so crazy how someone can try and make you feel bad about, being online or whatever. But like, look at them. They're on here all day too. As of before, like the whole phase of me, like I must be with people. Let me join these calls and these servers. That lasted for about maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then it just got like old. Like it, I join these servers, I join these calls, and they're boring. They're boring or they're stupid. I mean, I talked about there was a call where I joined it, and you have this guy screaming at his game, "Rah!" And then you have this other guy going meow, and he says this must be 8, 9, 10 different times where I muted him because I just got so annoyed by it and just left. I was like, this is stupid. I'm gonna sit in this call for an hour or 2 hours with some guy that's yelling at a video game, and then another one who's like making animal noises. Like, what is the point of that? Please let me know. Seriously, people are so bad, especially online, that I would rather be alone. Like if I had the option of you can either sit in this call for X amount of time with this many people, or you can just sit alone in your house or in your car or at the mall or whatever, I would pick the latter because it's just these are not interesting people to talk to. Like I sat up here with this woman and I said, I remember the Dear John letter writer from several years back and how she and I had a lot of things in common. She said some stuff I thought was a little crazy, but we had like common interests where I didn't feel like if there was something I wanted to talk with her about, she would just like implicitly reject, like, oh, this is boring. Um, but you have this girl who's in these hours long calls and complains about a stale point of disinterest, and it's like, dingbat, you're the one who, before hearing anything about the news, oh, this will bore me. Before hearing anything about history, oh, this will bore me. So I mean, you already kind of tied my hands here in terms of two of the main things I'm interested in, and you're going to tell me that, and again, you yourself are not introducing any new topics. So it's like, hey, person who would be more than willing to try something different to discuss. No thanks. Just nuts, man. That's why I say, what do you want? And we talked about this one crazy girl that was in this server, and I leave the call to go do a stream. And while I'm streaming, I look on my phone, I see that I've been unfriended, some message about you and your friends leave me alone. And I'm like, oh, they must have been terrorizing her for to act this crazy. But then I found out she's just that crazy. Somehow it's my fault that someone else made fun of her. Uh, that's why I said it was really pathetic to watch these guys like try to do the whole, I think you might require introspection and all this other pseudo psychobabble. Like, man, why can't people just admit when someone does something stupid or weird? Like, just call it what it is. It's like I've been really disturbed by how in the 6 months since that movie thing fell through, 5 or 6 months, we haven't seen a single one of these guys that's like on the other side go, yeah, that was screwed up. Because you know damn well that if someone asked me to go see a movie and it came out that I stood them up at the last minute, I would be criticized. I don't blame her if she never talks to you again. You wasted her time. I could just see it right now. But when they do this to me, no problem. I'm just picturing me being like, oh, yeah, I don't. Here's my number, by the way. I'm not a call person. It's funny how the double standards are just so rampant, are they? Aren't they? Like, they don't even try to disguise it, mask it, hide it. They're out in the open with it. It's like, yeah, we will blame you for this. We will never criticize them for that. That's just the way it is. Oh man, I tell you, I'm so tired of all this unannounced crap. Finding out the day before, the night before, the hour before. Imagine going to your job. Okay, today you're working from 4 to 9. Then it's like 8 o'clock. Hey, can you stay until 12? They're always modifying and adjusting things. It's so irritating. It's like one of my biggest frustrations with a lot of these coworkers is how they tell me about taking their shifts the day of, right? Like it's not even like the night before, the day of. So hey, you and your friend want to go see a movie? Well, can you cover me today from this time? And that's like, no, man, have stuff to do. Like they feel like if people get a day off, they're just sitting there at home, just doing Lord knows what, but just oh yeah, I can work today. And I'm someone that usually never turns down work, but for that occasion I did because like I said, last minute, which is already annoying, but also I told my friend we would hang out last Tuesday and I hadn't seen him in I don't know how many months. So I wasn't gonna miss that over whatever, something that still wasn't even guaranteed to me anyway. I mentioned before, one of the things they like to do, I'll never forget this. I picked up a shift for Saturday. It was back when I was doing those work weekend streams. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna make this much this month. Great, right? 2 days back to back of work on the weekend, I always tell them I'm not available on Saturday, but like they can put me on Sunday if they want. And man, that's Saturday night when I came back and I looked on the schedule and it said you have been removed from Sunday. You take one step forward, one step back. Holy hell. Sometimes you just can't win. No, there are just so many blatant lies. Can't tell you how many job interviews I went to where somebody will smile at you and go, "Yeah, uh, you know, if with all the laughing in your face, all the pretending that they're so interested in getting to know you, and it all amounts to nothing." You got the one guy in the comment section of that video talking about these things can't be outcome dependent. I said everything you do should be dependent on the outcome. I mean, when you buy a ticket to go see a movie, if you don't get to see the movie, you'd probably be pissed off. If somebody goes to school and they pass all these classes, but they don't get their degree, they'd be pissed. You sit over there and drive to the market trying to get some food, and then you go to the market and they say, "Oh, all of our products are out." You'd be upset. You wouldn't go, "Oh, well, the ride over here was fun, so I guess it's okay that I'm starving." I mean, people just I don't know what they're expecting and thinking. There just has to be a reason to doing these things. I said before, I write scripts with the intention of making them. Sometimes I get writer's block. Sometimes I abandon some if I just don't see a way to make it, or sometimes I might spend a considerable amount of time on one particular script because maybe it's not as well written as I think it could be, or there's something I'm going to add in, take out, etc. But it's like I'm not just writing this stuff so it can sit on my Google Docs for the rest of human history. Like, no, this is something I want to see made, and it's like it's just so weird to tell somebody engage in things that have no end goal, like have no particular rationale for existing. Just do this thing and I guess live in the moment. Like, to hell with that. I can go and sit there and talk to my friend for 2, 3, 4 hours every, let's say, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and do this every day. But just like, I can go and talk to him, and I know that I'm not gonna, after having a pleasant conversation, suddenly have him block me or stop answering the like. Again, this weird stuff only happens with these chicks. I only had one guy on since I made my return to Piss Square. I've only had one guy do something that kind of annoyed me, and like he unfriended me, but it was like someone I barely even spoke to anyway, so I just didn't really think much of it. Just whatever. But that's one weird guy compared to like 10, 20 different crazy things with chicks. But yeah, this is definitely a Discord issue. Women are so much more pleasant on all these other websites. I remember back in the old days when I was like active on Twitter, I think back in like 2016, 15, all those DMs. Hey, how are you? Da, da, da. I have husband. I'm like, okay, that's nice, I guess. At a certain point, it just has to end. Like, again, I just can't sit here and keep the same like nonsense going forever. I guess we can go to a more somber topic. So a few months back, I became aware, and I didn't really pay that much attention to it because I don't keep up with most things related to, I'd say, a majority of actors, VAs. Just it's not something I really think that much about. But I found out some months back that Rachel Lillis, who was the original English voice for Jessie and Misty in the Pokemon anime, that she had cancer, and they were like raising funds, I guess, through some of the supporters and different fans to try and like get rid of this disease, or at least delay it. And again, this was like back in, I think, May, June, like the midpoint of this year, and then a few days ago she passed away. She died. Um at 46, which I always try to explain to people that, and again, I'll do my little tangent thing and then we'll get into the other part of this. But like, I always try to explain to people, when they do the whole, oh, you're young, etc., that no one is guaranteed tomorrow, next year, 10 years. And I also mentioned that, sometimes when a person's trying to do something in like a rush or faster than you would understand, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe there's someone that um, they wanted to see the things. One of my closest relatives, not even 2 years ago, had cancer and died. Kept it hidden for me for years. Uh, and it's one of those things where I try to explain that a lot of these diseases are silent in terms of how they affect the person. Sometimes people don't even know they have it. Um, and it's another example of how somebody can be here one day and gone the next. And in her case, it's even more disturbing because it's like this person's not even 50 and the same disease. Think of how surreal it is to know that like to just in retrospect, by the time you're 23, you've already lived half your life. How crazy is that? Of course, she didn't know it back then. I'm sure most other people wouldn't have predicted this, but the general idea here is that you just have these extremely quick reversals of luck, and I feel like I'm seeing just constantly these premature demises. But no, I remember those 8 seasons very well. You know, Kanto, the beginning of the Battle Frontier, and I did not find out until I was an adult that Misty and Jesse had the same voice actors because the voices sounded different enough from each other to not really, be able to tell. Um, but I would say the same thing with Veronica Taylor, where she made Ash and his mother sound distinct enough from each other where I couldn't tell either. Where she uses a voice more similar to her natural speaking voice for Ash's mom. It's all just so depressing. Like, just imagine like you work, right? You do a job. You're not like some big, huge celebrity. People, they know who you are from your voice. And then maybe it could have been a year ago, it could have been 2 years ago, it could have been a few months ago. By the way, you have cancer, and yeah. And then what? Suddenly you're just deceased after before even like hitting 50. I mean, that's why I said I can't be satisfied with the way a lot of stuff is. 'Cause, I mentioned with, having a relative that had it, it's like, suppose I end up catching it or, contracting it, it's like, so what, you're gonna live paycheck to paycheck and get harassed by trolls and talk to stupid women, for the next, like, 10 to 18 years, and then find out that you sudden or however many years until, you find out you have this disease that there is no cure to, and just goodbye, that's it, you're done. It's all just so premature and just it's just not a satisfying conclusion. Like, I always think about, like, I remember when I was a kid, people would talk about if you wanted to live long, eat healthy, exercise, etc. But there's no way to counter cancer. It just appears and you're finished. You can hold it off for whatever little amount of time you have left, but god damn. Like I said, I just can't imagine you know, having hope for the future when it can all just be so prematurely cut short. I mean, as bad as car accidents and all the different shootings that we have are, it's like at least there's like it's preventable. With these diseases, you just find out you have them and then you're done. I'm just so sick of death. Like I'm so tired of it. And people always say it's part of life. It's part of life. People die, new ones come. But it's like again, what is the point of living if you are going to have some premature demise that you didn't expect, that you couldn't have stopped? Just I don't like what's the point of this? I said I feel like every other year I just go to a funeral. It's like that's like the one thing I have guaranteed. It used to be that I would have like a Halloween celebration, Thanksgiving celebration, Christmas celebration. Now Thanksgiving is non-existent. Halloween is non-existent. Christmas is borderline non-existent. And it all comes down to diseases taking away the very few people I could ever do any of this stuff with. Christmas this year is going to be on a Wednesday, and I'm about 99% sure that it'll just be me streaming because they'll probably give me that day off of work. I assume, I'd imagine. If I'm still there at that point, I'll have had the same job for over a year. So it would be a shock if they didn't. But it's like I won't have anyone to celebrate that with because everyone I celebrated it with is deceased. That's why I said, what's the point of living if you just have nothing? I don't even try to turn these into these depressing tirades or whatever. It's just I just don't see a point. I remember there was a video I watched one time where the person who made it said that a story's only good if its ending is satisfying, and it's like, could you imagine again, just like having a career you enjoy, and then before you're even like 50, oh yeah, I have cancer. I mean, it's just and it's like no matter how many people die from this thing, we're never going to get a cure for it. It'll just be the recurring disease that just strips people away from us forever. Sometimes I actually do look at a lot of my coworkers, and especially when they're all like giggling and jumping around and stuff. Because some of these, people are like 18, you know, even younger than that. I'm like, man, I wonder what do they think of their lives? Like, do they think they're just guaranteed to live another 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? And I'm not saying am hoping anything bad happens to them, but I said this before. There was a time where going back to like 2014, 15, 16, 17, like there was always a belief on my part that no matter how bad things got, again, whether you were talking about some stuff at school, some stuff with some, lousy family member, there was always like a bottom, right? It's like, okay, you know what? You didn't get into this college you wanted to go to, but at least you still have this person. Uh, some girl didn't like you, whatever, but at least you still have this person. And once that first death occurred, it was no there was no going back. It was all just downhill from there. serious. I always used to think of things in relative terms of like I'd have just get depressed over stuff like, oh man, I wish I had, etc. Well, there was always like at least this is good, right? But man, when you just keep having stuff just taken and taken and taken and taken, you're like, Jesus Christ, when does it stop? Like I didn't make when everything started crumbling, leaving nothing for nothing. It's like that's how I feel. You just everything is taken from you piece by piece, brick by brick, until you have nothing. And it's like no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you try to avoid any of these pitfalls, there is always something waiting in a corner ready to strike you right in the back. And again, it's like I just don't look at the future in a positive way because there really has been no reason to have any positive view of what's going to happen. It's like again, you're going to go and work some job where even if you make some money from it because they're finally giving you more hours, you can forget about being able to afford any of those one bedroom apartments that are all going for 1,000 something in one of the most expensive cities to live in America. And you see how stupid this woman stuff is getting. Where oh yeah, this woman says she likes you. Too bad she lives in another country. And her idea of dating is just the two of you sitting around talking to each other, saying things that God only knows if she means it or not. Whoopee. Like I said, there was always the belief that there was like a wall of like, okay, this can only get as bad as this, but they really have been trying my ability to believe in that. I'll tell you this. No, it just never seems to let up. Try as you may. I actually got a whole different topic idea planned for this, but I guess I got cold feet at the last minute. Like I made a special thumbnail and everything, and I just can't do it tonight. I guess this morning rather. But again, it's just for someone to feel or have any type of like desire to invest in something, there needs to be incentives given. And when I see people just having these unexpected passings that are caused by these diseases that no one wants to cure for whatever reason, uh, I just cannot be excited about the prospects of tomorrow. Like I couldn't imagine. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, hey, I have this much money, and I'm this much more well known than I was back then. Oh, you have cancer? Well, it looks like it's all over. Oh well, too bad. So sick of these stupid diseases. This stuff never seems to end. No, I think I don't even know what to say. Well, I guess it's like this, a lot of the people write stupid stuff online attacking me, whatever. Uh, there are still things where I'm just like, why would you write that? What the hell's wrong with you? Right. But just I said before, my biggest frustration, like thing that gets under my skin constantly is just the whole philosophical idea of the stuff of job. Just okay, you're gonna go and make this stuff, people say whatever, but there's still like something to gain from doing this, right? Like you're not just gonna have the people around you just start passing away back and forth, back and forth. But that was the point I made. I said, why would I care about their opinion if the only opinions that matter to me aren't even around to give an opinion? I hope these people aren't. I don't know what's about to go down these next few days. They're going to be real crazy. Someone coming over in the afternoon each day and then trying to take this thing back to this place. And there's never enough stuff to do, huh? All these side quests and missions. Of course, I still have to go and get something to eat today because I ate that thing I had this morning. Mm. I started rumbling. But yeah, all in all, I'm just sick of death. Like I'm just tired of God. Pretty forlorn, but definitely relatable. Oh, if you want something on a lighter note, we can get into that. I think it was last. Was it last Monday? Yeah, it was last Monday because that was when I had the one stream where like whatever happened. But last Monday there was an incident where I parked like right, I'd say the street like adjacent to my job, right? And this gives me a good view of the front door, right? And I look on the schedule, and I know that my arch enemy is coming in at, lovely mixed signals queens coming in at like I think 4 o'clock, and I'm just sitting there looking. I'm like four passes, then four two passes, then four passes, then four six passes, then four, and as I'm just sitting here, I'm like, did she call out sick? Did she, what kind of machinations are these? All of a sudden, the vehicle pulls up on the side of me, and I kind of get scared a little bit because why is this car stopping right on the side of me as I'm parked, and I see a woman in there, and then the car parks behind me, and out comes the mixed signals queen herself. And that was when it hit me. I said, wait a second, she has a car again, but then she still comes to work late. Like you can't win with these bastards. Like once they start doing something weird or stupid or dumb, it she could live on like in the building next to the job and still find a way to come late. It's insane. It really is. And then my favorite twist was yesterday, because that's just what I do every Monday. I end up having to see this monstrosity. I was parked around that same area, not in the exact same spot. And I look at my clock, and it's like again it's supposed to come in at 4. I look, it's like 4:07. Like, oh, late again. And then that's when I see her. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, she got late for the second Monday in a row, right? 2 times in 2 weeks. That's par for the course with her. But then when I was talking to one of the managers about it, he said that they changed their grace period. So there used to be this grace period of like 5 minutes. So if you have to come in at 5, but you come in at 5:04, it's okay, right? You come in at supposed to come in at 6, come in at 6:03, whatever. That happened to me one time. But he told me that they changed their grace period to now be 10 minutes long. So this means that you could come in at 4:09, and even though you have almost like think about this. When someone doesn't come into their job for almost 10 minutes until after it's already started, that means that they have missed a sixth of an hour. Add that up to plus, times 2, right? Like another 20 minutes, that's half an hour. Like 10 minutes is not a little itty bitty amount of time in an hour. So the idea that they gave them a grace period of that long just blows my mind. So because that meant that she actually did not end up being late, even though, again, I don't know how anybody can just show up 7 minutes after you're supposed to clock in and like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's okay. That plot armor, it is strong. These places bend their own rules. They bend over in pretzels. Like some of these people can just do whatever they want. I've come to realize that they can just come to work late over and over. They can barely come on time. They can call out sick. Um, and then what's even funnier is that she's supposed to work 5 hours. She left before she was supposed to. So I was like, wait a second. So you get to come barely on time and then leave before you were supposed to. Dealing with that woman, even when you're not talking to her anymore, she still leaves you scratching your head. It's been established that she has plot armor, though. Well, I didn't know that they changed the schedule now to where the grace periods where it's 10 minutes. Because I always am like the second it hits 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, like the exact hour, like just clock it in. So that means I could just go and sit outside for almost 10 minutes and still not be late, even if I am, not on time technically. But she was definitely late last Monday. Just wish it actually mattered in terms of getting something resolved. No, my original topic was going to be all these different crime areas in my city and just like around me. Like I could drive, I think about an hour to this one house where this actress was shot. Like when she opened the door for this guy, he just pulled a pistol out, and it was really disturbing. Uh, like that area is still mostly like they got rid of the blood, but it's like it looks pretty much exactly the same as it did all those years ago, all those decades ago, I should say. But yeah, that was my original topic, but I decided I didn't want to. I still might revisit it maybe on Saturday. Just want to brush up on the case a little bit. I'm aware how scary the U.S. can be, the amount of people that can possess a firearm. Well, yeah, but it's like you gotta understand, California is where Hollywood is, and there's a lot of people who are either famous or famous adjacent that like do things that make the news because of just how crazy and scandalous it was, right? Like, oh, my girlfriend is an aspiring model, but she doesn't want to be with me anymore. If I can't have her, no one will. Like that happened over here. It is really scary with some of the stuff that occurs. Uh, one of the statistics I always remember is that if someone gets killed, it's usually by a person they know. And man, when I was thinking about all the different, just it rings true. But no, the cancer topic really struck me because I swear it wasn't even 3 months ago that they're like, oh yeah, the former Pokemon voice actress has cancer, and then just a few days ago it was confirmed that she passed away. And I mean, it's so abrupt. And I was making the comments of how it's even like when stuff in hindsight is always so much more disturbing when you just think about it. It's like, okay, she died at 46. That means that when she was 23, she had lived half of her life. How crazy is that? Yes, the original English voice actor for Misty and Jesse, Rachel Lillis, she died a few days ago from cancer. Her diagnosis was, I believe, first announced back in May or June, and there were fans that donated to get her some medical treatment. I found out about it yesterday on Twitter because people were posting tributes and just talking about it. My whole thing is like I was just discussing how I had been affected by cancer and just how it drives me insane. All this money, all these brilliant doctors, and nobody can figure out a cure for this damn thing. Yeah, these diseases, they just never they don't discriminate. They can come at you at any age, at any time, uh, varying levels of speed. I mean, it's crazy. That's really unfortunate. The first time I'm hearing about it. Oh, people are, they put up some videos. I'm not surprised. I mean, it only happened a few days ago. It's a relatively recent thing. I'm just saying it's really scary to me that, just you find out this person has this disease and then just a few months later they're deceased. and we don't have an unlimited amount of time to experience things or get stuff done. Well, that's what I got into a tangent about. I was like, you're gonna just, I mean, with this woman thing, it's like, how long is that supposed to last? Do you just spend your entire life in this vain effort of trying to appeal to these broads, and then what, 2 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later, you find out you have some incurable disease? So, oh well, too bad, so sad, haha. Try again next time. Like, it's just the whole thing is just, it's not right. Oh, I think I'm trying to remember if I've ever mentioned this before. Because it's one of those things where I forgot about it because so much time has passed. Um, and I really don't even talk about the person that much anymore. At least I don't think I do. Like, I just like vaguely say relatives. Um, so it must have been New Year's of, I think it could have been 2020. It could have been 2021. Could have been it's sometime around when that virus started, like either right before the virus started, year before, but it's like around that same era. I don't know. Maybe it's it's like within it certainly is like in the last 3 to 4 years. So the relative, the one that said, "If you want to have a place to live when you come, do you want to have a place to live when you come back?" Right? The whole like, "Oh my God, you locked your door, worst thing in the world." That one. At that time, she was dating some guy. And you know how these relationships are. You know, everybody's so in love with each other. That's why they never get married. That's why they just do these romantic esque things like jumping in bed together, and that's pretty much the full extent of how far this stuff goes. Um, but it was either New Year's of 2020 or 2021 that she calls this guy on FaceTime. Like, what FaceTime is, where you can see somebody on the video. And when she calls his phone on FaceTime, calls him on FaceTime, a naked woman answers. And first, she takes the phone and puts it to her chest, and then turns around and puts it to her backside. And it's like, "Oh, you're the one that he said I." Megumi, like, okay, so the exchange was, she's calling him on New Year's to, I guess, wish him a happy New Year's, just some generic stuff, right? Calls him on FaceTime. This naked woman picks up. She puts the phone first to her chest and then turns around and puts it to her butt. You know what? And I'm not even trying to be fun, because like the guy never like comes on the phone from what I remember. Just that was the exchange, right? Like showing off your areas, and then, "Oh, you are this person, goodbye," and then hangs up. um I would rather be single for the rest of my life than ever be put in a situation where the person I am supposedly dating has this naked individual answer their phone. Oh, that's one of the biggest romantic L's I've ever seen. I can just picture it. FaceTime. "Do, do, 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 do. Naked woman here. Here's my chest. Here's my booty. Goodbye." Never heard of that one before. Well, I mean, I hate to call this "You've Never Seen This 3," but I don't think that would be an inappropriate nickname. We want to make this the last part of a trilogy. I mean, I think I mentioned to you that there were guys that came to my job and they were like they were like talking about the booties of the girls that work there. Like this one's got a, they, I think I mentioned that to you, or I mentioned on some other stream where like there were some guys that came in there and they were talking about how large the backsides of some of the girls that worked there were, and just like blatant, like and I always say like, sometimes when me and my friend go somewhere, we might see some girl and we'll talk about, oh man, she looks kind of pretty. Right. But like we would never just out loud be like, oh man, look at her chest. That thing's bigger than a grapefruit. It just you wouldn't see us just we'd still try to show some tact, even if we think someone is attractive. So like that's why it was just so rude and um nasty to just be like, oh yeah, this woman's uh, you know, posture is of great proportions. Oh yeah, which day was that? I never liked or joined in that with other guys. That's what I'm saying. Like I have gone places where I'll see women I think are pretty, right? But I'm not like, oh man, did you see how big like there's still an attempt at tact, right? At like actually never has been something I was interested in doing. And I'm just saying that like I don't think you would find it appropriate to go to a business and be like, oh man, look at that large on that like it's weird, man. Just people have no shame. Oh, you'll love this. So at my job, they were given some free yeah, pizza. And they had about 7 or 8 boxes of it, maybe 4 or 5 boxes, at least several boxes, right? And I was asked to stay longer, I think on Monday of last week. Either Monday or Thursday, one of those days. But I stayed longer and I started getting hungry because I was supposed to like I eat what I eat usually carries me through 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever, but it was like 7 or 8. And as I'm getting hungry, I'm like, okay, at least when they put me on break, I can get some of this pizza, right? And a very familiar female with a nice little black purse decides to take her purse, open it up very big and wide, and stick not one. And I'm able to see this because they have the boxes around where I'm like cleaning stuff. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, but 7 goddamn slices of pizza into the bag, zip it up, and then proceed on her merry way out of the place. I put my hands just like this. It's like, are you serious? Why one person needs a damn near full box of pizza? I don't know. I know I was just irritated because I very rarely get free food, so I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get some pizza, right? Even if it's cold, whatever. Nope. Lovely greedy coworker decides to take almost the whole box. And if you put two and two together, this is the same one that did the ice cream thing, so it's just what she does. But see, it's like this is the kind of stuff where Like, I get irritated with them. What about others who may want some slices? Well, you get to eat Bree's pie because if she got her way and she got to take all of it home or a big chunk of it home. Now, like this is so again, I'm not trying to sound whatever here, but this is the kind of stuff that actually no consideration whatsoever. But it's the kind of stuff that actually kind of pisses me off. Um, because again, I was hungry. I did actually want a slice, and then oh, excuse me, rather it was this, right? And you would never see a man do that. You don't see guys like take their damn bag and just fill it with food. Like it's weird, dude. How would I look like eight, seven slices of pizza in here? Only weird, greedy women do that. You can't even go to your job and get excited at something being free because you know somebody else is going to eat all of it before you even get a break to have any of it. Is she? I pledge to you. Um, she is one of the taller chicks that works there, but I don't consider her overweight, which is what makes her doing that all the more crazy. I'm telling you, this stuff doesn't make any sense. Like I just sit here sometimes. I'm like, what am I even seeing? What am I experiencing? Like, what would I look like if like it doesn't have to be pizza. Let's say what's something else that comes in like pieces. Let's say it's I don't know rice. They have like 50 containers of rice that they're giving all the coworkers today. And I take this bag and I'm like, they're giving us 50 containers of rice. Well, everybody else can get one, but I'll get five. I just start shoving them in here like this. It's weird. Hmm. Okay, this stuff doesn't make any sense. Like I'm just I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. That's something that would not make me have a positive opinion of her. Well, I tell you that in like I view the chicks at this job as deranged, bipolar, um, immature jerks. There's a few that are consistently nice to me, right? A few. But most of them, I can't like after that thing happened with Mixed Signals Queen, I don't trust any of them. And it's like in the more limited interactions I've had with the ones after that, I've just kind of gotten sick of them still. But I guarantee she'll have a guy or already has someone anyways. Oh, of course. I mean, she's not like unattractive. At least I don't think she is anyway. I don't like her greed, right? That's unattractive to me, but men will take anything. Like, I could take this notebook and just draw a triangle on it, and you'll see some men who are like, "Hey, what's your number? What's your name? What's your number? I'd like to flip your pages." No standards. No, I was pointing out that on Saturday, not Saturday, on Sunday, I saw the Discord leader, right? The one that is going to be that was like the star of the Discord video. And man, she joined the VC in that server at I think like 12 in the afternoon my time, right? And I went to sleep around 7 p.m. and woke up around 9 and she was gone. But like before I went to sleep at 7 p.m., she was still in that VC. Like this is what she does every like she's it's like around the weekend or early days of the week she'll just come to a like one of the VCs in that server and just sit in there like camp in there for must be 6 7 8 hours during the day. It's really crazy. Same thing right now. She was in that VC from before I started streaming, um and will still be in there until God knows what time. And like I said, because she was on my friend list before she did her weird thing, I get notified about it. Her and her 15 different names. But I just thought it was funny how like this woman who has a boyfriend, right, this amazing partner, right, that she was trying to safeguard from evil old Justin. It's like, okay, if he's so great and amazing, why do you sit in these group calls with mostly men for 6 7 8 hours multiple times, like multiple times a week? Like I don't understand. Because I was saying that these calls have become so just like such things of nothingness that I have effectively like stopped even participating in them. Like I go to servers now and see people in the VC and I'm just like, I'm not going to bother with that. Forget it. I'm serious. Like there was there they've I think the last time I joined a VC in one of these servers was probably about 5 or 6 days ago, like almost a week now, because they're boring. Personally, I wouldn't want to be with a chick who spends most of her time in group calls with other guys. Well, I tell you, that's why I'm still like, I don't, I don't understand the logic of her stuff. It's just, oh, I'm gonna block this guy for saying he missed me. Oh my god, it's so inappropriate. I'm in a relationship. Da, da, da. But then I'm gonna like sit in these group calls with a bunch of like that call she's in right now, entirely men. So I said, like, why are you here? I just keep thinking, oh, you're hurt. It's like I'm not hurt. I'm annoyed. God, just imagine like sitting in that call and just. And if you thought what I said to her was inappropriate, you should hear some of the stuff they say to each other in these calls. They talk about all types of positions and I want to do this. I mean, and, like I said, I'm not in the business of telling anybody what they can't talk about, but it's just also hypocritical. What you said to me was so inappropriate. Well, you're going to go and join a call where they're talking about that same type of stuff, if not even worse, while you're like swatting me away like a fly. Are you serious? So I said it's all just a big joke. No, anytime you have some woman that just sits around a bunch of guys, it's a red flag, you know? Like, could you imagine just like imagine the perspective of female. Why, like, if you're with a guy, why would you want to be with a man who is like sitting in a group call or even like in real life, right? Just sitting around with like four or five different chicks. Wouldn't that be kind of weird? Could you imagine? Oh yeah, there's my partner who there's that woman I'm with who is in this group call with a bunch of men for 5, 6, 7 hours, 3 times a week. Totally nothing suspicious or weird about that. I also mentioned I saw the stale point of disinterest dummy and yeah, that was I think Saturday, and she joined the call and then left after like 20, 30 minutes. Then she joined another call and left after like 10 minutes or like very, very quick intervals. And I just couldn't help but think to myself, like, she stopped speaking to me one on one, right? We should go our separate ways to join a bunch of mostly boring calls that she jumps out of after a dozen or so minutes. I just think it's funny. It's just nice the irony. Yeah, typical. It seems that's one of the main topics being discussed: positions and fantasies, or joking, doing it with others. Well, again, I'm not some prune. I'm not going to tell you you can't talk about what you want to talk about, but don't sit here and try to lecture me on what's appropriate and what isn't when you're sitting in those calls all day long. Like, I've seen this now every week. There's like a few days, right, where she will join calls in that server and just sit in that VC from, it could be again like around this time, like early morning my time, or like middle of the day sometimes, depending on, again, but like it's always the same pattern of join the call and people come in and out, right? But she just sits in there like for again 3, 4, 5 hours, 6 hours. And again, calls with mostly a bunch of other men. By the way, many moons ago, like several years ago, there was this one lady that had this server, and I said it was like being in a sitcom where there's like no continuity, and every day she just gets angry over something, and then she kicks the people out of the VC for her being upset or whatever. And like, she's I think 30 something or 30 or whatever, and acts like a kid. Like you could tell, so she's got some stuff up with her. I guess the best way to put it. And man, I'll never forget just like the falling out I had with her. I was like, this is just too stupid, and they banned me out of the server or kicked me out of the server or whatever. And I called her some name or something after that. I saw her in that same server, and I was like, oh my god, talk about a blast from the past. She was sitting right up in the VC, and I was thinking, if your server was so good, why are you in the VC of this one? Interesting. Of course, I didn't join the call because I don't want to even hear her voice anymore. Yeah, I feel like listening to that trash. I told you we've been very serious about the zero women plan. Like, there are some of my job I say hello to, right? And pleasant to, etc. Because she banned and kicked everybody out. Dude, you should have seen it. I remember the group calls in that server. She would get angry about something, and then when everyone else is like still in the call, she will start, because you know how, like, in most servers you might like leave a VC, whatever, like, oh, this is too stupid, it's annoying, etc. Because she ran that server and was like the lead mod, head mod, owner of it, she would remove people from the VC after she would have her rage quit fest. So like imagine if you and I were in some server with a woman and the woman's like, "You guys are bullying me." And we're like, "No, we're not." And then she jumps out the call. And then right after that she like removes you and me from the call. Like if if she doesn't want to speak, then no one will speak. Like that's crazy. And that's the only mod the only like owner of a server I've ever seen do that. It got to a point where for a long time I stopped joining VCs and that stuff because I was like, what's the point? You're going to be in there for like 10 minutes. Then she gets mad over something stupid. And then she just kicks everybody out the VC. I have never, in all the servers I have joined, bigger ones, smaller ones, there's never been a mod as demented and twisted and crazy and as tyrannical as to remove people from the VC when they get mad at what's being said or who someone. It's just stupid, man. When you were in that server, you had to play babysitter. I remember I joined one of the VCs. Uh, he's not me, but like somebody else. He's picking on me. He's being mean to me. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? Whoop him? She takes her frustration and on everyone else in the group call. Yes. I'm serious. When I looked on her profile and I saw that name, it all came rushing back to me. I was like, "Oh, that one." And I knew you couldn't pay me to join that call. Especially in the ZWP era, like, the zero women thing is mostly just a gag and just in terms like I'm just sick of them. I'm not gonna try starting new stuff. But like I especially wouldn't try to rekindle something with one I have a past bad experience with. Would not waste my time. See, when I saw her, I just stayed out of the call. I said, man, it's crazy that like that thing with her was 2 years ago. So I guess if I just sit in enough servers long enough, I just run into the same clowns over and over. I mean, I'm sure if I looked hard enough, I could probably find some other ones, but I don't care about them. They're nothing to me. It's funny to think about her like banning everyone out of the server, and then it's like, oh, I have no more people to play with or throw around or treat like crap. Guess I have to join the server I'm not the mod in. Of course, my favorite character arc on Discord is the one where somebody sends you a friend request or they invite you to their server and then they unfriend you or ban you from their server. It's like, hell, you're the one that gave me the keys, right? And then you're gonna take them from me? Like the one that said she liked me romantically, right? The whole stale point disinterest one. That one sent me a friend request. I was like, why'd you send me a friend request? Like I asked point blank, I was like, why? Because this is coming off the heels of the bad exchanges with the one that was in the Discord video, right? So I was like, I don't know if I want to get involved with another one of you. And sure enough, it's the same old story, the same old song and dance, my friend. But there's always a poetic irony in them starting things and then, just just getting rid of you, like just throwing you away. I always find that to be the most comedic of transformations. Yeah, that's why it really doesn't matter. Well, to me, it's just funny that they sit there and try to act like they're so different from somebody else. Because when she made her stupid confession, I didn't even really believe it, right? Because we've seen girls online say all types of stuff. I like you. I think we have a connection. Blah 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 blah. Right? All this crap, and it doesn't mean anything. But then you add in the whole like this person being aware that you live so far away from them, and then they're like still thinking that you would want to even bother with that. It's just I just couldn't take it seriously, and also was just not interested in her in that way. But I still think it's funny that like she told me about how she doesn't talk to any of her romantic interest or whatever after they have the romance and it doesn't end well, and like I was like, wow, so we skipped the romance part and went straight to the we don't speak anymore part. Okay. Yep, still in there. I did find it weird sometimes when chicks that have boyfriends send me a friend request when we haven't even spoken before, other than seeing each other in the group chat. I'm surprised they haven't tried to tell you that you forced them to send you the friend request. You bent them to your will. I think I told you there was one that I was telling her, "I hope you have a good rest," and she was like, "Are you flirting with me?" And I like put my hand over my face. Uh, I think it was in the I'm finished stream, and like with that one, she has a boyfriend, right? And sent me a friend request. DM called me twice, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm not against doing any of this stuff, but man, sometimes I read this stuff. I almost always want to show screenshots because it sounds unbelievable to me. Like, you're like, yo, I hope you have a good rest. Are you flirting with me? Just like that. Jam, I don't listen. I don't even want to read anything you write because you tried to assail me, and I just don't have the patience for it. You tried to make me sound like I was this heartless, evil content creator that was like draining you like a damn battery. Uh, when I feel like I asked for some very basic accommodations. I don't want your goddamn money. My only request was that you leave a comment on a video that you said you wanted made. I had waited months, not a few days, not a few weeks, months, and I didn't even directly confront you. I just mentioned it in passing. So if you have any problems with me as a content creator, if you don't like my leadership, you could just watch somebody else. That's always an option. I'm not about to sit here and be made out to be some leech that's trying to get something out of you that's so unfair. So yeah, I don't need to be told of how I'm so demanding. It's just not necessary. It's too early. I mean, man, like my thing with that is if you're available, you're available. If you're not, you're not. It's whatever. Like, if you can't get up at 5 a.m., or I guess if you're on the East Coast, probably it's like 8 or 9, whatever. Fine. I guess yeah, 8 or 7. No, like I don't, you can just watch the replay. If it's too early, just watch it afterward. You don't have to attend every stream. I never made anyone sign no contract to do that. This isn't like Twitch where they get rid of the replay after a few days. I mean, have fun in my area this week, I guess. Yeah, that was a strong tremor. Of course, I wasn't scared because I don't have anything in here that could like fall on me. I had some books that were stacked up. Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of people I watch where they stream when I'm working, they stream when I'm asleep. Like, just watch them later. Like, I'm not saying you must watch this as it is. To hell with that. They make it sound like you're. I'm telling you, this is like the year of he made me do this. You got that broad talking about I made her accept my friend request. I grabbed her through my computer screen and was like, look here, you little temptress, you will accept my friend request. I do like participating in the streams and have a dialogue. Good opportunity. My chicks. So what, now you're trying to say I'm some female owner? Like what the? These are not my chicks. Even the one that thought she was my chick wasn't my chick. The one that was saying I was her ex boyfriend on the all. He sent me a message. I think about 4 days ago. I responded to him short. I think yesterday, day before yesterday. Yeah, I've had a decent dialogue with him. He's been like off the internet mostly, but we were getting along pretty well. We got a crazy woman brought two guys together. All it took was her thinking we were the same person. I still, dude. If I make a video on her, it's just gonna be me laughing throughout the whole thing. It's just so stupid. Your account was made on June the 10th when we were in London. You think I'm stupid? You know what I mean? Any female you engage with. Okay, but they're not my chicks. I don't own them. In many cases, I try to stay away from, especially in the last like few weeks, where it seems like stuff is getting dumber and dumber. They're on this like race to the bottom. There's friends. These aren't my damn friends. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I saw her yesterday. I thought she was late, but it turns out they gave an extension where now it's like 10 minutes. You can show up 10 minutes after you're scheduled to clock in, and you won't be late, which is insane. There are going to be guys who will defend her in condemning you for making your account on a certain date. She said, dude, her evidence is like the most insane string of coincidences. You type similarly. Um, your your other accounts are fake. You said you had to meet a woman from work. You met a woman online, but it didn't work. But you worked with her, and it. I was like, what? And what was the other one? How did you know it was a boyfriend and not a girlfriend, even though she's the one that mentioned having a boy? Like, I'm telling you, when she was on my friend list, I did have her saved as ex girlfriend. I was like, all right, I'll play into this. Go. We absolutely dated. I was most certainly in London with her in June, even though I've never been out of the United States. Yeah, dude, I knew she was irredeemable once I sent her the video of me in my car, and I'm like, I'm not your ex boyfriend. And she still was like, okay, but how do you explain this? How do you explain it? I was like, okay, just, you're insane. Goodbye. God, man, I'm telling you, I really didn't see that coming. It was 3 days of me and her talking about writing, nice dialogue. I was kind of reluctant to even send her a friend request because I was like, do I want to get caught up in another one of these cyber chicks? But I was like, okay, fine, whatever. She really up and she really torpedoed your interaction. Seriously, like 3 days of a pleasant dialogue, and then you're her ex boyfriend. And like and when I was like reading through the stuff, you could see pieces of the paranoia starting to come out after like the first day or so, where she's like, why did you message me even though we've never spoken uh in the server before? It's like, well, in your description you say you like to write. I like to write as well. There was another girl in there that likes to draw. I like to draw. Send her some of my drawings, send me some of her drawings. No, I mean, we don't speak every day or even every couple of days, but we've been getting along. It's like it's just it's crazy, man. Like, yeah, she destroyed it. And to this day, she still thinks she went first. I was her ex boyfriend. Then I was someone who knew him. Now I'm him again. So I maintain I've only ever dated one woman, but I guess I there was a second one I didn't know about. I had some romance that was so secret I wasn't even aware of it. And then of course that thing with that other broad, the one that was talking about if I heard your voice more, I would want more. I don't even dude, like I don't even know what to I'm telling you, I really don't know what to call that video. Crazy woman thinks we're going to have a affair. In like the video time might just be like, what is this? Man, those calls, it was 2 hours. That stuff was weird. Why do they have the need to come off so agitated and hostile for someone messaging them about their interest? I don't know. The guy told me she's very paranoid. She's got a therapist, psychiatrist. So that's what really gets me. But I'm saying that, like, even her ex boyfriend's like, yeah, there's something wrong with her. She needs help. Even he was like, yeah, man, this broad's out of her mind. Stay away. I told you what she did first. Like when I sent her my message, where I was like trying to be, I was like, okay, I've accepted that this is like we're done, right? The like insulting one. First, she blocked me, and then like 2 hours later, she unblocked me. Then she started arguing me a little bit. Then she blocked me again. And then she has like unblocked me since. I'm telling you, that's what they do now. They block you. Like I used to think when you're blocked, that's it. Mm-mm. They want the smoke. You're better off asking her about her. Man, I'm telling you, I still can't believe that happened. Like I'm just, oh man, it never ends with these people. I tell you. So I guess the moral of the story is don't bother. If you see a woman in a server and you think it's a good idea to send her a message, think twice. It really is surreal to me how like I speak to the guys on there and I just don't have these problems. But these chicks, it's like they're all trying to outdo each other and how crazy they can be. No, it doesn't matter at all. You saw how quickly she threw away. Like, dude, think about this. I'm her ex-boyfriend, right? I'm her ex-boyfriend. As her ex-boyfriend who is posing as a different person, I'm gonna send her multiple drawings. I'm gonna tell her about some book I'm planning on writing, write the plot and all it's like, who the hell would make up something? It's just like that the ex-boyfriend said, what in the self-centered blank is this? Because it's like, who has the time and the resources and the energy to create all these different accounts, all of this art, all of, like it? Why would we make all of that just for her? I have like you have to have the biggest ego in the whole goddamn world to be like, hmm, this man who is telling me about this book and is showing me different drawings that he's done, I think he is my former partner, and these accounts that he has are fake. And no matter how much evidence you show, just double down. That's why I just eventually I just threw my hands up and said, you know what, this is stupid. That's becoming a more common thing with a lot of these chicks. Me just like throwing my hands up and saying, forget it. Like you had the girl at the job talking about, oh yeah, you can send me a message, just not one of those messages. When I heard that crap, and I was like, yeah, never mind. And then of course the other one, I'm not getting texting. Can I call you? I don't even call members of my family. I saw her yesterday. I didn't say anything to her. I was like, man, this is stupid. Tell you, once you start seeing those little parallels and pieces of something weird brimming, because you got to remember that, like with Mixed Signals Queen, stuff didn't start getting weird until after I'd already like been ensnared, like after I'd already asked, hey, you want to go see a movie, right? The only thing that I knew was crazy, right, was the whole like you can't ride with me in my car thing, which was great, which was whatever. I just wrote it off as okay. People are protective of their stuff. I get that a little bit. Um, but with these other ones, We're trying as best we can to cut it off before it even starts because we're already seeing those little signs. See, if you gotta remember, I'm the kind of person where if I want to talk to somebody, oh yeah, you can call me, yeah, sure. Oh, I forgot to respond. Hey, you know what? You sent me something a few days ago. I forgot. I'll write back because I there are people that write me something. Sometimes I don't respond for a few days, a week, whatever. Because it's just like the work stuff and being tired and sleeping. Whatever the reason is. But like sometimes you just forget. But it's like with these chicks, they don't even like. You can have a woman smile at you and tell you to leave her alone in the same day. It's too much, man. All this flipping and switching. Jesus. Hmm. Like I said, at this point, there's only about three of them I'm still trying to talk to. The one from the UK that I really like, who is barely around. The other one that likes to draw. And then there's one from I think Canada that I also like, but she's stood me up a few times when we were scheduling to like talk. So I'm getting more annoyed and annoyed. But I'll still keep holding out hope, even if I don't think anything good is actually going to come out of this. If she actually schedules to speak to me and goes through with it, and we talk voice to voice for the first time, I think in over a month. Hey, what was the phrase my friend used? It'll be the most amazing thing ever. Oh man, the sun's gonna start coming up in like 20 minutes. Yeah, I gotta meet these clowns. They're gonna come over here at 12 in the afternoon, so I'll give me a good 5 or 6 hours to sleep. Would be more meaningful if she's scheduled to have a call with you. Oh no, never. Remember, with everything with chicks, you just pursue them, right? They can never be the one that sets anything up ever. You remember that one guy saw my video a long time ago? The one with the erotic call. Most women don't set up calls. Oh no, no, he wasn't even most. It was like women don't set up calls. The worst part about living and just like observing relationships is that when people actually want to be with each other, there's like a mutual desire that is communicated through their actions, right? So like I don't know any couples where it's just the man calls his girlfriend 15 times a week and then she calls him like once or not at all. Like hell, I don't even know of any friends where it's like one person just calls one over and over again, sends one messages over and over again. That's why I said that like I don't know what like I really believe some of these people just like do they even talk to anyone at all? No, I'm serious. Like some real warped perspectives. I'm not kidding. Ooh, I really like this person. That's why I can't ever directly message them or try talking to them. They have to keep reaching out to me because I really like them. Yeah, sure you do. You're a big fan of theirs. Both parties need to invest in the same kind of effort. Platonic or romantic interactions require effort from both sides to work. Yeah, just like with my friend. I mean, when we went to go see that movie last week, first there was a theater I wanted to go to. He said it was too far for him. I was like, okay, fine. Um, then we agreed to a theater that was like halfway for both of us. and we drove over there, and we both, went at the same time. Got us. I'm just saying, like, people who actually want to do stuff together are going to work together to get it done. They're not going to just sit there and go, "Well, I guess. Oh, you want to go see a movie? Yeah, I guess. Whatever." And then, oh yeah, we're supposed to see a movie today. Okay, what time? Okay, yeah, maybe. Yeah, both need to make compromises, and you don't see that in these lousy relationships. That's why I said I just can't imagine like dating a woman at this point. Like I'm serious. Like if it's this hard to just be friends with one of these bastards, I can't see a productive. I don't like using the word romance coming out of this. I really don't. We're gonna keep seeing more and more of them doing the whole switcheroo and oh, you thought I liked you, but not really. And I'm sick of it, man. Like in less than 2 months, they've really driven me to the point of not even wanting to participate in any of this nonsense anymore. I like you. Yeah, whatever. You say that. I like you. We have such good time together, person I'm going to stop speaking to in 3 weeks or 2 weeks or a week. Man, these relationships. Still in the call with her 8 men. In attempt to get them on board to talk with. But I'm just saying, like, at a certain point, this stuff starts getting stale. Like, you can only read so many Dear John letters and have so many chicks do the whole I liked you last week, but not anymore. Before you're just like, okay, whatever, girl. Because I told you when that last one wrote her Dear John letter, right? The whole thing. I didn't even respond. Like she wrote that last message to me on the 18th of last month. I have yet to write anything because it was just so stupid. I was like, this is dumb. This isn't even worth a written response to. I was like, this is so ridiculous. I'm not even going to dignify it with a rebuttal. Like I'm not going to argue with someone who is determined to kill whatever we had, and do it in such a like roundabout, nonsensical way too. Oh yeah, person I had all these hours of calls with. You're so boring. That's why we had these hours of calls where I was grinning and laughing. Dude, I'm not even kidding. If I take the audio of the laughing of her and then put it on top of those messages, you would think it was two different people. Like you just oh man. They lie so much. It started off interesting. Yeah. Oh man. People don't even have to tell the truth. They can just sit there and spin stuff and claim one thing that wasn't so. I guess the one good thing is that as bad as the one in that Discord video was, at least I didn't spend several weeks or months on her. She almost makes the one from last year look tolerable. The one with the lovely ex boyfriend that she said was harassing her, but she was actually still with him the whole time. Still, it would go a long way to have at least one good female friend you could have regular conversations with or hang out with. I just don't think it's possible. I think we live in an era where a man can have the best intentions, um, and no matter what those intentions are, hey, let's just talk. How you doing? These girls, these women, they think you're like this monster that's trying to get something out of them. Even if there's no reason to believe that other than just you are male. I'm serious. I have had two different girls on Piscord accuse me of coming on to them with like little to nothing, like no proof, no evidence, just oh, you sent me a clip of your voice. Are you hitting on me? Oh, you said have a good rest. Are you flirting with me? I'm just like, you live in New York. Like, why would I want to fly all the way over there to man? I'm just saying, I really don't think it's possible. I think a lot of them just automatically believe that every single guy they talk to wants to be their boyfriend, no matter how much evidence there is that no, he actually does not. They're just dishonest. Well, Jam, you can't speak. I mean, I don't want to talk about your ex-wife or anything, but she wasn't exactly known for being the most brilliant character out there. Some of the stuff she did confused a lot of men. We were like, "What in the world?" No, but Jem, if you don't want to leave a comment on the video, just say that, okay? I don't want people to sit here and feel like I'm forcing them to do something. There are a section of guys who don't experience this. Yeah, I'm envious. But Jem, I'm serious. If you don't want to leave a comment on something, just say you don't want to leave a comment on it. No, nobody's gonna ban you. Nobody's gonna curse you out. No one's going to call all of New Jersey trying to get you in trouble with the federal authorities or state authorities. Like we just, it's simple. If you don't want to say something on a video, then just say you're not going to say it. Don't give me any false hope. Don't have me sit there brimming with excitement at the idea of opening my inbox and seeing a new message from like just say I'm not interested. Like just that's it. Don't be like mixed signals queen. Are you gonna leave a comment on the video? I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. The worst catchphrase I'd ever heard. I don't know. I'll let you know. They make me sick, literally. She really did a big number. Yeah. I'm telling you, that was an unprecedented saga. I've never had someone who I worked with that I tried just out of a pure goodness of my heart, why not be friends with these people, angle to be friendly with, just blow up in my face. I've never had that happen before. Out of all the different jobs, all the people I've worked with, that was the first and the worst. Like I actively call her my arch enemy because it's like this is the person you try to become closer with, and because of their own stupidity and them thinking you're dumber than you actually are, it deteriorated to where it is now. Like I said, like when she did her report thing, that's when I finally and after like a few weeks, right, of the whole I'll um I'll pick you up at 8 thing with the other guy. That's when I finally had read her in full. That was when the misreading was over. She had been read all the way through. I realized that this was a lying, cowardly, passive aggressive, demented little piece of garbage who had no problem with wasting someone's time or trying to get them fired uh, because she has no empathy for others. I'm serious. When I got that report, I said, you know what? Let me try to talk to her about it. Maybe we can have some kind of. Can you please drop it? I am never letting another one of them do that to me again. Every time I see those little signs creeping up, right? Just swat it away. Don't even entertain it. I don't even want to risk the chance of that happening a second time or third time or whatever, however many times it might occur. 2 months of terror. Well, Jem, don't worry. You're going to get your credit when they do the book on me. It'll be you and the two other people that warned me about her. I'll admit that you guys were right and I was wrong, and that when she did her thing, she made me look like the biggest liar and fool in the history of the state of California. So don't worry. You'll get credited as one of the three that correctly predicted she would try to get me in trouble. You'll get your due. You'll get your accolade. I remember the stream that I meant where I like first mentioned the idea of wanting to ask her to go see a movie, and Megumi was like, "Be careful." So I guess he technically should get some reward as well. Thank God for cameras. Well, I told you it really was just a matter of her stupidity that things turned the way that they did. Like she's not smart. She can drive a car. She can do whatever little other stuff in front or whatever. But her her stupidity, right, is what caused her to not be able to just say her cowardice and her stupidity, the fatal flaws, right? The cowardice makes it to where you can't just tell this man, I want to go see a movie with you. And the stupidity gets her to believe that she can like jerk him along week after week, right? And then also like be successful or be able to like get revenge on him by going to the authorities at the job. But then like again, the stupidity kicks in because it's like, wait, if I'm going to get revenge on him by saying he's making me uncomfortable, how am I going to explain away the fact that I'm on camera coming up to him? Megumi says, "Hell yeah, it's true. Justin looked like the biggest liar and fool in the history of the state of California." I'm glad you agree with me. I'm glad we all see eye to eye. So the one good thing about these Discord chicks is because of how crazy they were and how many there were, they did take my mind off of her. I don't think about her anywhere near as much as I used to. Like at the height of that stuff, I'm not kidding. I would just sit there some days. I was like, I wonder what she's doing. Because again, it's like right, someone presents to you the idea that you're going to become closer to them, and then they pull it away, and you're like, "What the hell? You told me that we would become this, we would have this." So it's like you've been already like caught up in the idea that they slightly reinforced, and then like tried to turn back, but it's too late because they already presented it to you. That's the one good thing about those Discord chicks. So many stupid chicks that they overrode the attention I was paying to the other one. Like I only will bring her up if I'm at the job or like on a stream, right? Like if it's just during the day, I don't think about her anywhere near as much as I used to, which I'm glad. Because that stuff with her was driving me crazy. At least you do have a few you still have a dialogue with. Yeah, but they're just not around as much. So I don't know. I don't know if it's because they actually like me and that's why they've stuck around for a longer period, or if it's just they're not around as often to piss me off or to get mad at me over something stupid, or vice versa. Told you that UK one, man. If I was several years younger and she didn't have a boyfriend, I don't know. I'll just say that that might be the one that I would break my rule for and try to make some play at. But oh, you know what? I didn't mention the guy, the one that was trying to ask out the manager that was cheating me out of my discount. He said that he wanted to ask her out, but like changed his mind because he found out that she had a boyfriend because she had some tattoo that had the guy's name on her or whatever. And of course, my response to that was, that's an old tattoo because people get tattoos they're of romantic partners and then they break up and it's like even stupider. But I remember I mentioned that like it was while we were outside. I was like, yeah, that's why it's dumb to get a tattoo of a partner's name on it because if you break up, then what's the point? It's like, well, people don't think about that. They're being positive. I was like, I would never waste my time trying to date a woman that already has a boyfriend. Well, somebody's always with somebody else, but you have to try and put yourself out. I was just rolling my eyes. This guy is so delusional. Well, it's funny because it's like in one breath he says, I won't ask her out because she is supposedly with this other man, which he can't prove. That could be an old tattoo, as I mentioned. But then in the other breath, he's like, oh yeah, it's fine to try and date someone who already has a partner. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, these guys are all over the place, I tell you. I will not ask out this woman because I think she is with another man. But you can't, nothing wrong with asking out women that are dating other men. What's the worst that could happen? All I'm saying is if it's so hard to just get a woman that's like single, why would you want to? I don't, whatever. People. This constant ooze of optimism and flipping back on what they said initially. I just think it's so funny that he's like, "How old do you think she is?" I kind of like her. And then, like when he says that, I'm like, "Did you not learn your lesson before? Where you wanted to date some other manager and then found out that she had a boyfriend, so you backed off?" It's like, yeah, most chicks that you think are attractive, somebody else thinks the same thing. Like, ooh, big shock. I was before, like, the only way you could get me to even contemplate considering pursuing something romantic with any broad in real life, especially where they can do like the most damage, is if the woman like shows some moderate amount of like interest back in terms of, hey, I didn't hear from you this week. Are you all right? Or hey, how are you know? But you never see that because they don't care. I told you, chicks at my job, they only contact me if they want me to fill in for them, and it's usually the same one or two. They never ask me how I'm doing, if I'm all right. I can never imagine one of them being like that. That's what I'm saying. That's why I told you that I'm tired of everything being one sided, where it's all just you doing everything you can to appeal to these jerks, and like, it never ends. I mean, at what point do you get to just say, you know what? It's been years. This stuff has not improved. I don't think it's going to. Like, they believe you're supposed to just sit here and ask out women forever and ever, and oh, well, this one didn't like you, just gotta try it again. Not in real life or online. Seriously. Yeah, they have no incentive. I mean, I told you, I literally just I've never had a single one of them, including the ones I've been working with now for 7, 8, 9, 10 months. Ones that will sit there and say hi to you every time you see them or whatever the hell. I've never seen one of them try to message me, "Hey, how you doing?" Because they don't care. You're nothing to them. Now, of course, there's some guys that might do that, but these chicks, man, you're more likely to see a four-leaf clover. Listen, I'm not even trying to be funny, and I've said this before. Maybe I think I have. You are more likely to see me with 1 million subscribers than you are to see me with a woman that actually reciprocates interest in me, and wants to have a family, and is not somebody over the computer from 100,000 miles away. Then you can actually believe I'm serious. Like, you are more likely to see me with 1 million subscribers than you are to see me date some broad that actually wants the same things as me and is as serious as in this. It's just it's you like I said, unicorn stuff at this point. I'm really not even trying to be funny. That's how unlikely it is. Holy cow, you really made that comparison. Dude, if you ask me which is easier, getting your channel to have 1 million subscribers, or finding a woman that has the same goals as you, that likes you back, that doesn't live in some other country or other part of the world, and is like actually serious about doing stuff, I would absolutely say the subscriber thing is easier rather. I'm just imagining me with the 1M subscribers. It's like, magic woman will show up any day now. You can call me negative all you want. Like, it's the truth. I don't believe it. And I would say the same thing about being friends with one of them too. Like, these last few years have really shown how hard it is to just coexist with these people. I mean, the coworker stuff is the most egregious example, but it's all like showing itself to be more and more difficult. Like I said, we have seen growth on here, um, like actual tangible growth that I can see in my analytics. So I'm only negative when I have to be, like when I just don't see any progress. Even ones you have the same interest with, it does not matter, man. The same interest thing is something that's like a good conversation starter. But it in terms of like, oh yeah, we can just talk about this and we're gonna get along so well. Man, I got a bridge to sell you if you believe that. Mm. Tell you about that one lady where I remember that stream. She's a 10. You got this damn girl on the dating server, and she likes the same. She was into something I'd never seen anyone else into. That like, and it shocked me, and I was like, "This is nice. I like speaking to you. Hey, if you want to, maybe just like hang out and do something together, I'm all for it." And she's like, there are other people on the server too. And I was like, this is after we had both seen what each other look like, and I'm like, how in the world does this this let's just say very gargantuan character get to tell me that I'm not good enough for her? Are you serious? When I was younger, I used to really believe in how that makes things so much easier to get along with them. I used to believe that too, but I've had a lot of bad experiences even with ones that like the same things as me, and I just don't think we can get along. Not in the long term anyway. Like again, nice little like conversation here or there. But in terms of oh yeah, you like this, I like this. Hey, let's talk about it for 3 hours or 4 hours or several days. And I have met some chicks that like a lot of the same things as me, but a lot of them tend to have partners, and that kind of dissuades me from wanting to talk to them because I just don't want to repeat that thing with that girl from last year. I really don't want that to happen again. I remember being so excited when we were first messaging each other and just talking and getting along, and her revealing all this different stuff about herself. And I like I said, I just find such a futility in her answering and like again just showing all this stuff and accepting it just for her to be like, well, I'm going to now ignore you because my partner doesn't want me to speak to you because he thinks we're cheating, even though you live hundreds of miles away from me. Goodbye. I'm not even kidding, man. I can be so sympathetic to certain things. Like I tell you that, well, I'm not sympathetic to that relative because they're a jerk, but if I were with some woman and she was going and disappearing for like hours a day or whatever, right? And there was some guy that I saw maybe with her somewhere, I kind of get a little bit, but like the idea of a woman cheating on you with some guy in a state that's like it's not in driving distance, like the like right next to it, right? He'd have to fly over here to even get here after a day or what. It's nuts. I'm serious. That was one of the worst experiences I've had with attempting to have a friendship with somebody in recent years. It was really bad. And like I said, it's not a coincidence that the same week that I finally cut off everything with her was the one where I started the job where I would eventually meet Mixed Signals Queen. Because when you deal with these people, you trade in one poison for another. I thought Miss Revolving Door was the worst, but Mixed Signals Queen was like, hold my beer. We really should have just like a jerk day where it's just all of my least favorite chicks. Just find a way to message them or DM them like, "Hey, how are you doing? I haven't heard from you in this many weeks, this many months." See what they say. Well, you could never get me to try contacting Mixed Signals Queen again, so I guess that wouldn't work out. It'd have to be on a day where I just happen to see her at work. Seriously, she is ultra disgusting. Like I'm grossed out to even be in the same room with her a lot of times. That woman is horrendous. Just imagining the 1 million subs and the plaque. You're like, this was easier to achieve than finding a satisfying relationship with a woman. Oh man. Listen, I don't make up any of this stuff. If I see something as just being too difficult, I'll tell you. It's amusing, but there is an underlying sadness to it. I mean, I said before that, like, I think I could actually get elected to the U.S. Congress easier than meeting a woman. Like, to put that in layman's terms, I think it'd be easier for me to get at least 100,000 people to vote for me than to get a woman to date me. Like a woman, like not, I'm not talking about no stupid computer stuff, like an actual woman in real life, like, hey, I like you. We should, go somewhere together. I absolutely believe it'd be easier to win the election than to get one of them to. Well, I feel like there's an underlying sadness with a lot of this stuff, though. Things that never were so difficult before have been made so difficult to ridiculous levels. I mean, I'll go a step further. I think it'd be easier for me to build a house than to get a date with like a real life one. Dude, brain surgery is easier than getting a woman. But have you noticed the underlying sadness to everything? I mean, like I told you before, one of the reasons I'm able to kind of just put up with a lot of the stupid stuff said online is that it's like the opinions of me on here are paltry to those of those that are not around anymore. I'm serious. If like at a certain point, you just don't care what these people write. A lot of I think is dumb and just stupid, but it doesn't mean anything. Nothing they say can ever hurt as much as the loss of those. I mean, hell, I'm serious. There's an underlying sadness in everything. Like you go to your job, you smile, you have your little jokes with people, but you know that every single one of them, barring maybe someone you reach out to, will have almost nothing to do with you if you're not there. The ones that and the not even just like the ones you don't talk to, the ones that call themselves your friend that you have your little running gags with, unless you're clocked in, you might as well be dead. The people who see you more than uh, at this point, any member of your family, they couldn't care less about how you're doing, and you know that this is not like a thing they're for. Like the managers, whatever, right? They have the protocol, but you know that they don't do this with each other. You see them pick each other up, and oh man, we went over this person's house, but then you are just isolated. It doesn't help. You're constantly alone as well, which reinforces your cynical view of stuff. That too. Constantly alone. I mean, that's a typical day at this point. You go, you sleep up here, right? Go to your job, see people who only talk to you when you're there, and then go and sit back up here for the rest of the night, rest of the day, and then that's pretty much the full extent of things. Where you really only get like human interaction through the computer or at work. Like it's just despite your efforts and trying not to be alone. Yeah, man. I mean, you should have seen it. I've had relatives where I'm like, "Hey, you want to go do something together?" Nope. I tell you, you can get the same result from a woman in real life that you could get from on the computer, which is like, "Hey, we should like do something. Hey, let me call you. Let's hang out." I don't do calls. I'm busy this day. I don't like you anymore. I don't even like using this phrase because it's cliche, but forever alone. So I definitely understand what you mean when you told your coworker about accepting a human interaction opportunity. Yeah, I hadn't seen my friend in like again in person. I think in 3 months, 4 months. Like it's extremely rare. Even phone calls are getting harder and harder to get at this point. Like I mostly get called by spam numbers or like politicians that want me to donate to them, right? Like they send me a text, but um like on a given day, I might interact with again, not counting coworkers, right? I might interact with one or two relatives and maybe somebody like my friend once every few days, once a week, and that's it. Like just very little. And I tell you that situation over there wasn't any better. I mean, one person sits in their room all day long, only talks to you when they want some money or for you to run an errand, and the other one just sits on the computer all day. So it's like people were around, they just didn't care to do anything with you. And that was certainly not the case 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Yesterday, I tried asking my older brothers to hang out with this Friday as well. Of course, he decided against it. Told me he isn't ready. I'm serious. Sometimes I used to go to the mall like back in 2018, 19, 20, right? And I would just like not 2020, but just like for like about a year, I would just go to a mall or some other like gathering type place, just observe people. Like, oh, here's this couple with their baby, with their kids. Here's these two women. Here's these two guys. I'm like, man, I don't have any of that. I have my, friend I might get to hang out with once every several months or whatever. I'm just saying that, like, you just at, it's just one of those things where I guess you get used to it, but it's not fun. I don't enjoy just having, like, I think a lot of the alternatives aren't that great either, because I told you a lot of these conversations with internet random people are not great or fun. Uh, so it really is just pick your poison. So we go. You have anything else you want to add? Because I do have to get. I had a last minute thing they threw on me today at 12 in the afternoon. Hell, they might come at 11 for the type of luck I've been having. So is there anything else you want to write? Speak now or hold your peace until Saturday. That should be the name of a stream one of these days. Forever alone. I'm telling you, you try to have interactions with people, but they just are. They don't budge. Especially these girls, you might as well say forget. And it's like I just think it's so sad how you can genuinely just want to be friends. You look at some of these girls, like, they're not hideous, but you don't want to date them, and they just get so weird. Like, god damn. I felt uncomfortable. What did he do? He he said hi to me. Hey, want to go see a movie? Yeah. Then 2 weeks later, never mind. I can't say never mind. I'll let you know. I just really wish things didn't have to be this way. They don't have to be this way, but people want them to be this way. We live in a society of a bunch of women who think every single man that talks to them has this desire to be their boyfriend, and a bunch of guys that defend the stupid impulses of their female counterpart. They have constructed a system that is designed to keep to it's supposed to incentivize men to like want to do stuff with chicks, but because of how rancid it is, it makes you just kind of say forget it and just not even like acknowledge them. Although, of course, I do believe there's a racial component as well, but people don't like when I mention that. Just think it's really interesting how these other groups are towards each other. When you want to do something with them, it's a problem. I guess I'll keep it at that. It's real fascinating how that works. My unpopular color does touch on that. Man, this workplace stuff, we really do need a sequel. But do you have anything else you want to write before we wrap this up? Because I am trying to go to sleep so I can meet these people at either 11 or 12. Hopefully 12, but people are weird. They do stuff an hour early and then you have to pay the price for it. Like when the guy used the bathroom and left the light on for and then I didn't know the thing was on, so I locked the door and it was on for like 2 days straight. Just douchebags, man. Hope you take care and have good rest. You know what? Before I go, no, you know what? I know who you're referencing. I'm gonna write it the way she wrote it. Uh, and I am tired too, so this will be the last thing. Damn, I didn't even respond to her last time she wrote to me. Put in quotation. I don't know why there was a space between the me and the question mark, but this is how it was written to me. It's like, oh yes, I can't wait to travel from California to what is that, New York? Yeah, all for you, man. The ego on them is just it's reached new levels. But yeah, I will hopefully see you again on Saturday. I plan on streaming on Saturday unless something crazy comes up. I don't think anything will. Um, so have a good rest of your week and talk to you again.